Good morning, KEYS teachers, and welcome to my session on creating an interactive online learning environment. So for this session, we're going to be looking at different applications that we can use inside our online learning classrooms. These applications are some apps that I've used also in the past. So later in the session, we're going to be doing a little bit of an app exploration. So some of these applications I've already seen some of the high school teachers use inside their classroom. And some of these applications I've also used in my own classroom back when I was also a primary school teacher and also the high school teacher. So now let's start our session. So what are we learning today? We'll first explore the why, and then later on we'll do the exploration of those applications that we'll use. For the exploration, you don't need to install anything in your laptop or on your cell phones. You can use your mobile phones or laptops because these are already supported. Okay, so let's start. When we started this online learning for the IB team, it required us to really rethink the way that we teach and interact with their students. We have to face the reality that we may not see our students for quite some time, and there is a possibility that we might not even see them for a year. So our current learning environment therefore requires us to rethink how we engage with students. We have seen from many studies that there is what is known as Zoom fatigue or online meeting fatigue, and that's something that we don't want our students to experience all of the time. So what better way than to use different applications to help us with engaging our students and ensuring that they meet the standards that we provide inside that we give to our students. So why do we use apps, or why should we use technology during this time? Because when we present our students and we equip them with the proper tools, we are giving our students the chance to have ownership of their learning. And when they have that ownership of that learning, the technology that they use inside their own study areas or in their own devices, it would help them create and share things with each other, not just with their friends or with their parents, but also with us. And this allows us to see how different, how their thinking has changed over time. And lastly, and more importantly, when we use technology, we have to be mindful, because if we are able to mindfully use this technology, we can build agency among our learners. That means that there would be less time for us to hover and check on them, and more time for them to actually engage in self-directed learning or engage in pursuits that they find interesting in. So with that in mind, I now present you some of the applications that I've used inside the classroom. First off is Flipgrid. This is actually one of my favorite applications because it allows teachers to create grids to facilitate video discussions. And in each grid, it's like a message board where we teachers can post different questions, which are called topics. And these topics are what the students respond to. They can record themselves answering the question that we asked. They can also record whatever's happening. So this is like perfect for your science classes or even for your mathematics classes, where they have to explain the process that that they're going through as they're learning a new skill or learning a concept in your class. With Flipgrid, it allows students also to have a voice inside the online classroom, because now every student has the chance to speak up without having to face like a wider audience or a great number of people. So with Flipgrid, they're able to share those different topics, or sorry, their responses to a large number of people. And because of that, there is also that interactivity where students can like and respond to
No,
posts
marinig data. Mamaya na
like
after.
Instagram. Mhm.
No,
Okay.
aabot siya dita.
All right. So the next app that I've been using is a favorite amongst a lot of teachers. It's Padlet, which is like an online bulletin board that can be used to display information from any topic. With Padlet, you can organize your walls into many ways, like streams, columns, free for all. And you can see from the example of my students on the side of your screen that we've used it to like as a learning journal or as a prompt for reflective thinking. I've also used this to curate resources for my classroom. So let's say if there are during our online classes, I had them go to a certain Padlet wall, and then under each column in that Padlet wall, there were resources that students can access related to a subtopic or something in our unit. Apart from that, more than just typing up their answers, participants in the Padlet wall can post pictures, videos, links, and even heart responses. So this is a great way for you to like give feedback and also to have students like interact with other posts, like by asking questions or even adding on to the idea of another student. However, with Padlet, do know that it currently supports up to 3 walls only for new users. But if you've been using Padlet way before, you'll have a larger number of walls to use. Okay. The next application that I've been using is EdPuzzle. As we all know that in our classrooms, we use a lot of videos. And most of the time when we use videos in our classrooms, our students are just watching it. And then it's only after the video that we begin to ask them the different thinking questions or asking them to recall about what they've just seen. But with EdPuzzle, you can create or you can get any video from YouTube, National Geographic, TED Talks, and the like. And then using the EdPuzzle video editor, you can insert quick formative assessments like multiple choice, true or false, and short video response questions at different parts of the video. So this is great for having your students like being mindful of what they're watching. Because let's say if you have a 1 minute or a 2 minute video, it's like you can insert questions at let's say important junctures in that video. So let's say after 15 seconds, you can have the students like answer a question that you created. With EdPuzzle, you can also record audio feedback for your explanations. You can also just type up your feedback as well. So this is a great way for students to engage in self-paced learning as well. So that's EdPuzzle, okay? And then we have last one, the Pear Deck. So Pear Deck is a Google Slides add-on. With Pear Deck, you can use any Google slide that you have, and then you can create different interactive slides, such as having them type up the responses, or if you can see in the presentation there, you can have them like drag or draw what they're feeling. You can have them create different mind maps as well. So this is a wonderful app for you to use in your presentations, so that instead of just having them go through the presentations fully, you could just have them interact or click on different links, and then it will bring them to the website that you're using. So these are the different applications that I've used. So just to run down, we have Pear Deck, we have Padlet, EdPuzzle, and Flipgrid. Okay. So as mentioned earlier on, we're going to do a short exploration of the applications that I just showed. So if you would indulge me, and if you'd like to try these apps out, I suggest that you head on over to joinpd.com and type this code that you see here right now. Since this is a 30-minute session, we can spend the bulk of the time exploring the different applications because who knows, you might find this useful for you, or you could get ideas for this in your own remote learning classes. So I'll stop here and I'll give the next 10 minutes, so up to 11:20, for you to explore the different applications that have just been presented. And then let's come back at 11:20. Okay, so right now what you are seeing on your screens is the teacher dashboard of Pear Deck. I can see right now that a lot of you are feeling great today. So this is one where I can see that there are, Teacher Neil is not feeling too great today, Teacher Jerry also. And then, so we have some teachers who are in the middle as well. So with the Pear Deck, I can see this is set at a student pace, so I can see your responses as you go along. And then as you move through the different applications, I'll see if you're interacting with it. So right now we have the bulk of all of you on the first slide, and then we have a few scattered also in the others. Okay, I hope that gave you more than enough time to explore the different applications inside your classroom. I will keep the Pear Deck on until, who knows. So until with that Pear Deck, you can access it anytime. You can use it as your resource for your remote learning classes. And if you just want to get more ideas, you can access the last slide for you to look at different YouTube videos on how to use those different applications. Now, just before we move on, so there are just some things that we would like to consider, or that I love to consider whenever I did the remote learning with my students. First thing is that less is more. This is something that cannot be emphasized, most especially during this period. Even though we have all of these applications at our fingertips, it's still something for us to consider, like what applications should we use appropriately for in order for us to meet the outcomes or the standards that we're trying to assess. For me, the less is more comes with just finding the application that you would like to use all of the time. You don't have to have like 10 or 15 applications, but just like have 2 or 3, or even the ones that I've just shown you. So these applications are something that I've used, and these are tried and tested. My students are familiar with it because it's constantly being used inside the classroom. And because of that, they're comfortable engaging in the content, engaging with one another, and they're constantly looking at ways to show what they've understood in our lessons. So, okay. The next thing is that we should always manage our expectations. Even though we might have planned a very wonderful remote learning session, there will be times that our sessions might not go as planned because of connectivity issues or because of technical problems. So it's best that we make sure that we go through all of the applications step by step. We gain familiarity with it. For our students, even though we know that they use applications or they use technology all of the time, if we do not introduce this to our students, then we can't expect them to know it from the onset. So as much as possible, before you introduce a new application, send out like videos for your students to get a familiar or to be familiar with the application, or even like what I did with the IB teachers, just share PDFs of instructions on how to use different applications for them to become familiar with it. Okay. And lastly, with all of these technology and all of the applications, there's still no greater substitute than connecting with your students. During this time, it's best to like always ask them how are they doing. In fact, Teacher Neil said it best that we may have like an hour and 30 minutes of face-to-face synchronous class time, but always try and spend time with them, like spend 15 minutes with a student and ask them how they are, what are their worries, what are their misconceptions. And no application can do that if we don't connect with our students fully and being mindful of what they currently need. Okay, so that's my session for this morning. I hope that you all enjoyed the session. And if you have any questions, we can open the floor.